Okay, welcome to July 22nd and our Family Friday webinar series, Finding Community and Connection. My name is Sherry Obrentz. I'm an Associate Dean in the Office for Undergraduate Education in the college. We're really excited to have you towards the end of our Family Friday webinar series on this great topic about finding community and connection. We know with PRIO and orientation just a few weeks away, your students are getting really excited about meeting their new friends and joining new communities. And really, we hope that Emory becomes their home away from home in more ways than just living here. And so today I'm joined with my co-host, as always, Bridget Guernsey-Reardon. And we have a fabulous panel today, as we do every week, who will really talk about finding community and connection, some great places on campus. But as Bridget and I really like, the questions that you can be asking your students now, or some ideas for things to ask them once they're here on campus, if they find that they need a little bit of help. So I'm going to turn it over to Bridget, who will introduce our panelists.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We have a great group of experts like we always do. And so I'm going to let them jump right in and start to tell you who they are and what they do. So we're going to start with Natalie.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalie Turin, and I'm the Associate Director at the Center for Women and part of a larger unit called Belonging and Community Justice.
Thank you. And then Jordan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rabbi Jordan Bronig. I am the Jewish chaplain in the Office of Spiritual and Religious Life here at Emory.
And Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Lisa Lovell. I'm the Director for Student Involvement, Leadership, and Transitions.
And I always like to acknowledge our colleagues who are behind the scene. Carson Banks, some of you may have heard his name with orientation and new student programs and the pre-orientation programs. And also Paula Zwillik, who is our colleague who does take care of our technical needs. So thank you all for helping us put this together. Today's agenda is we're going to talk about coming to campus. This is such a bigger place than any of our students have been to before. And also how to make meaning out of the connections you're going to have. Our students will have so many opportunities to meet a lot of people, and it's probably going to be overwhelming. However, our colleagues today will talk to you about how to make meaning out of that. And then how to find community. There's a lot of different communities within one big Emory community. And we find our students who find their community within this bigger Emory community really are able to find meaning with their Emory experience. And then also exploring and connecting. They may have multiple communities. They may take on a club sport they've never taken on before. They may explore a religion they've never explored before. So we'll talk with you and let you know that this process takes time. I know our speakers will say that to you today, but we want you to have an overview of the offices and the experience that will help your Emory students grow and develop into the emerging adults that you want them to be. So I'm going to give it over to Natalie, who's going to talk with us about belonging and community justice.
Thank you so much, Bridget. All right, so as I mentioned, I belong to a broader unit on campus called Belonging and Community Justice. Essentially, we are a set of vibrant offices that are focused on the goal of belonging and community building on campus. And so essentially we help students find places where they belong and support them in making changes in their communities. So some of the offices are listed right there on the screen on the slide. But a brief overview, essentially all of our offices have full-time staff who are here to meet with students, to advise students, to help them make connections, to offer guidance and support. We also host offices with physical offices where students can simply hang out, where they can meet other students and find community. And also spaces that they can book. So if they are starting a new club, or if they want to meet other students around a particular topic, or if they want to do something or host something, we also have really wonderful spaces that they can book and use. So there we go. So I'll start first with the Center for Women. The Center for Women supports women on campus and offers programs and services and resources to that end. So a few A few important things to know is that we offer volunteer opportunities, that we employ students, and essentially host a list of programs centered on the needs of women. The Office for Race similarly supports students' exploration of race and racial justice. It is comprised of 3 specific spaces. That being said, the Office of Race supports students of all races. One is Centro Latinx, supporting Latinx students. The next is the Asian Student Center, supporting Asian students. And then the third is the EBSU, which stands for the Emory Black Student Union, and that supports Black students at Emory. They offer everything from mentorship programs to what else? Heritage Month programming, lectures, award ceremonies, and everything from very large programs where 100 people might show up to small movie nights where maybe you watch a movie and enjoy a snack together, etc. The third office on this list is the Office of LGBT Life. This office supports LGBTQ students. Noteworthy is that it's the place where Emory's Pride student group meets, for example. A lot of students enjoy participating in something called queer discussion groups. So those are groups where students meet around particular gender and sexual identities. A lot of students utilize the office because they're seeking the support of the staff who are in the offices as well. So it's a place of immense support for students. The fourth offices on the list are 1915 and Mariposa Scholars. And actually 1915, just as early as this week, just moved out of BCJ, but it is a now newer office supporting first generation students. So those are students who are the first in their family to go to college. And you can find more about that on our website at belonging.emory.edu. We're looking forward this year to even more expanded services for this group of students, as we just brought on a new director this week. Mariposa Scholars supports documented students. You can find more information about that program also on our website. A few more things about our spaces is that if you have a student who's looking to make friends, to find community, to explore their identity, all of those things, all of these offices will have open houses that will be widely advertised the first week that classes start. And so if they're looking to find more information, that's a really great way to learn more, aside from visiting our websites, following us on social media, etc. All of our offices have opportunities for leadership development, for employment. If your student has work study, we employ interns and student workers. That's just a really great way to be connected on campus and find a really wonderful employment opportunity. And really the spaces are open for students just to learn from each other, to hang out, and we're here and waiting for you and can't wait to meet your students. And so that is all I'll say about belonging and community justice. One final thing is a lot of people perhaps wonder, if I do not, belong to a particular identity, can I come and visit the office? Can I hang out? Can I participate in the programs? And the answer is yes. So you will find students of all identities in our spaces, not just those who identify, let's say, with the focus of the office. And that is all I will say. So we hope you come and check us out and look out for us the first week, or have your students come and find us the first week that they're on campus.
Hi, everyone. Once again, my name is Rabbi Jordan, and I am the Jewish chaplain in the Office of Spiritual and Religious Life. I am, just to say, this is a cool thing that Emory University offers. It is a full group of chaplains who range from many of the traditions that our students are coming from. And part of what we're here for is to recognize that people come in with a really diverse and interesting faith background, and you don't have to park that at the door when you come to Emory, but rather we're excited about the idea that students bring all of their identities with them into the university and can grow and develop those because they're developing new lenses for understanding the world. And that happens in the classroom and it happens outside the classroom, and it should also happen within their sort of their religious life. So, you know, you see a little picture of all of us. We're all in masks because that was the moment in time that we were at, but it's a wonderful group of colleagues who I can tell you a little bit more about. What do we do? It depends on the week, but there are things that are happening always. Holiday celebrations. So whether it's celebrating Diwali on campus or just at the end of last semester during Ramadan, each night there were these iftar breakfast celebrations that were happening in the tent next to Cannon Chapel, where 90 or 100 students were coming at the end of the day to break their daily fast. We have Beloved Community, which is a Christian worship service that happens every Sunday morning in Cannon Chapel, but we also have 12 university Christian affiliates who offer education, Bible study services for students, including a wonderful Catholic center on campus. I'm a rabbi. I'm blessed to have Jewish life affiliates, including Hillel, Chabad, and Maor, where Shabbat dinners happen. More than that, there is the opportunity for us to reach students for whom, as Natalie was saying, oh, I don't know exactly where I fit in, or, I have a parent who's Buddhist and a parent who's Christian, where do I fit in? And sort of being able to be guides and resources and answering some of those big questions. We have an educational aspect to our office, so there could be studying sacred texts together. My colleague Priya, the Buddhist chaplain, does a weekly meditation for students that happens in person and has a really nice following, because lots of people are looking for moments of mindfulness in a very stressful and busy time that college can be. The majority of our students on campus at this point see themselves as spiritual but not religious. That's the biggest chunk of our students. And so our office is really interested in reaching those students as well, because even if students are not necessarily interested in a sort of weekly religious practice, they are asking the questions of, who do I want to be in the world? They spend so much time in the classroom sort of developing their brain, and our office is here to remind them that it's oh yeah, but you're also a fully integrated human being. Your heart is as important as your brain. Something that I'm realizing now is that our students are more connected than they've ever been before, but they're not always having the easiest time connecting to one another. And so our office is thinking about, how can we be a resource in terms of helping students thrive socially. And lastly, and I don't know I'm trying to think if there are other slides here, but lastly, what our office does. Oh yeah, here's a little look at some of my amazing colleagues, in a sense of an office that's really trying to demographically touch students where they're coming from. Our office also plays a role in big campus conversations, whether that's about the legacy of race and racism in America, or thinking about the indigenous people on whose land EMORY exists. Our office has a role to play in fostering dialogue. I had a wonderful conversation at the end of last semester with a group of Jewish leaders and Professor Deborah Lipstadt, a leading scholar in America and now the ambassador dealing with anti-Semitism within the Biden administration. And the conversation, is indicative of what our office is up to, even if it's not the sort of on the religious side of things, but also recognizing that so many of these traditions are also about culture and identity. I'm happy to answer any questions if you want to drop them in the chat, but that's what I've got for right now.
All right, well, happy Friday, everybody. Again, my name is Lisa Lovell, and I work in student involvement, leadership, and transitions. Very long name. And we do a we are multifaceted office in the sense that there are many things that your students are able to interact with our office in various ways, in a way to find community and find connection. Here are just a couple of things that are the most outstanding for your student to consider and think about as it relates to interacting with our office. Here are several different programs or ways that we can find resources and support and interaction for your students. So pre-orientation to social programming, student organization support, student governance, leadership developments, and just like Natalie talked about, we also house a variety of ways of employing your student, from work study students to student interns, either through our office as an intern or even through some of our programmatic pieces that support some of these other bullet points that we have on this slide. Next slide, please. So what I really want to make sure that I touch on when you are connecting with your student is that obviously your student's going to go through a major transition of going into college, finding a sense of community, finding a home, and exploring kind of who they are and what their values are. And so I wanted to just touch briefly on what the research says as it relates to finding community and being involved within the new community that they're going to be surrounding themselves into. What we always try to let the students know is that we really would love for them to be able to explore right out of the gate when they come to Emory. And so what that means is being open to new opportunities, exploring things that might not be things that they would otherwise consider, being open to finding students who they might not have ever met before, and then also being able to find some ways to commit to some of those involvement opportunities. And what the research says is that students who are able to make those connections fairly early on are able to be even more academically focused and successful. But I also have the caveat that that is also contingent on that there's a tipping point. So we do have students who, which I'm sure most of you all already know and see and feel, who overreach their boundaries and start getting into the space of their bucket is getting a little bit too full when it comes to being overly involved. And so there is a happy medium and a balance to that, but really just making sure that you all understand that it would be great for you as supporters of your students to encourage them to reach out and find ways to be involved, either as a participant or as an explorer, or in more defined roles as potentially officers within student organizations. But there are various ways to do that. Sherry, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So out of the various things that our office does, these are the 4 takeaways that I would love to be able to focus on for you all. Otherwise, I think it could feel kind of like drinking from the fire hose. So these are the 4 things that I would love for you to be able to understand and explore and potentially have conversations with your students, or for you to be knowledgeable of as a resource for your student through this transition. The first thing is our Duly After Dark program. This is something that we started post-COVID and really have gotten into a really great rhythm with our students. And Duly After Dark is basically our evening and weekend programming that we provide for students. And so every Thursday through Sunday, there is free programming in various ways every week that school is in session. So if you are hearing that your student is stating things like there's nothing to do here, or I'm bored, or things like that, you can certainly have the conversation with them of, have you tried Duly After Dark? There are many things that we do as it relates to this programming. One is the opportunity for students to be employed through this, which is called our Moonlight Crew, where they are actually paid to help support the programming aspects and decide some of the programs that come to campus, as well as just be participants. And some of the various things that we've done with Duly After Dark is on Thursdays, we have movies, and those are typically outside with a large screen. We have blow-up couches. Friday, we explore various vendors who come in, from hypnotists to doing DIY succulent creations for plants for their residence hall rooms. Saturday, we have food truck parks, which is a very, very popular item. So we have various food trucks from across the Atlanta area who come in and provide food, and it's all free. They just get in line, they sign in, and then they're able to explore some of the different food products that Atlanta is really known for, and the huge following that is associated with the food trucks. And then on Sunday, we have what's called Gateway to Atlanta, where we go into various parts of Atlanta, from the touristy portions to what we consider more of a local experience. So you would see things like Six Flags, the Fright Fest experiences, to some of the different expos. One of our more popular ones was actually called a Sneaker Expo, where we have a large following of folks who are into the sneaker industry, being able to go and explore the expo that was in our downtown Atlanta area. We also explore things on the Atlanta Beltline to the Georgia Aquarium. So, and again, all of these items are free and available. Most of the time you can just show up. Sometimes we ask for you to sign up ahead of time, but they're all available on a weekly basis for your students while school is in session. The next thing is the hub. And so your students will hear about the hub incessantly, which is great. And basically what this is our online platform for several different things. One is to be able to search any student organization that is active on our campus. So you'll be able to go online. You, as well as parents of your students, are able to access portions of the hub that are public. And then your students who utilize their NetID and password to log in will be able to access a little bit more of the information as far as contact information. But they'll be able to explore any of the student organizations that we have registered on campus, which at this moment we have around 325 plus student organizations for undergraduate students. And those range in various things from religiously and spiritually affiliated to political, to social and just in nature, to identity-based, you name it, there's an organization for it. One of the ones that I love to highlight is that there's a Pokemon group. It's a group of students who collect themselves together and go and play Pokemon together as a community. So again, it's what the students see as ways to find community within themselves and create organizations to be able to celebrate those pieces together. And this is the place where students who are seeking ways to get connected to those can do so online, as well as you as a parent to be able to explore and be able to have those conversations with your students. The other thing that the hub hosts is our calendar. And so although not the official university calendar, it does host all student organization events and meetings, and our offices and campus partners are also hosting programs and meetings on that space too. So if you go onto the hub, which is www.thehub.emory.edu, which is right there on the slide, you will be able to seek out all the different events that are happening. And yes, Paula, thank you for mentioning that. Everything that's happening with orientation will also be on there. So you can get an hour by hour understanding of what all is available for there to be activity on campus. The third thing is our student involvement fair. This is a very large experience and something that we've actually made into an experience that can be for both introvert and extroverts. It used to be very extrovert centric, and we have made the changes thanks to the positive aspects that come out of COVID of us reevaluating kind of some of the programs that we provide. So this is a 4-day experience, and why we do that is because if you have 325 plus student organizations out there vying for attention of the attendees, which would be your students, that could seem very overwhelming. So what we have done is actually broken it down into 4 separate days. Each day is its own party. To be quite honest with you, we want to have a variety of different activities for students to be able to go and enjoy interactive experiences that we have. So if they need to take a break from talking to their peers, seeking involvement in student organizations, they're able to do some of the interactive experiences. So for example, one of the days we will have Emory Spirit, and it will be a bunch of selfie spaces for people to take pictures and celebrate being a part of Emory. And the another theme of the 4-day experience is a county fair. We'll have different county fair or carnival rides and games. But what this is we break down each of the days into specifically themed student organizations. And so you'll be able to seek out If you are wanting to really focus on politically based organizations, then you can go on this particular day. The students can go one day and they can go to all 4 days, but it's open and available. And so we're hosting about 100 student organizations and some affiliated campus partners and offices and departments each of the 4 days. So that is Sunday, August 28th through Wednesday, August 31st from 7 to 10. There will be free food and, like I said, free entertainment, and then opportunities to be able to meet with various offices and student organizations who are seeking students to become members. Other than that, it's also just a great place to interact with peers in general. And so this is in the heart of campus. Students talk about it as an amazing experience, and they love being able to go. And we hope to ensure that it has as an inclusive environment as possible, again, for our extroverted folks and our introverted folks. And then the last piece is our steer team, who will actually be hosting different spaces during the Student Involvement Fair as a peer guide. So if there are students who are just needing a little bit more assistance in going and meeting different of their peers who are hosting tables at the student organization or a Student Involvement Fair, these are our involvement ambassadors who are trained peer facilitators and leaders who will be kind of that soft landing for your student to be able to navigate different various aspects of being involved on campus. One would be at the Involvement Fair itself, and then also just leading workshops and different training sessions for your students to be able to navigate how best to enter into the campus community, find their community with, again, a soft landing and a peer person who is there solely to be able to help them with that experience and that journey. So again, these are the 4 things I really would love to be able to press upon as it relates to the elements of our office. A couple of things that we are really wanting to make sure that we highlight as it relates to being involved on campus, and something to kind of close out the session as it relates to finding connection and community. Are a couple of misconceptions that we have been hearing from students as they enter into campus. Although very exciting, a large portion of our students find community either immediately or within a month or so. But things that we want to make sure that we just make sure that you are able to prepare in your toolbox to have conversations with your students as it relates to transition, as well as themselves being able to understand. And we'll have conversations either with their orientation leaders or their RAs or the SEER team, is some of the misconceptions as it relates to being involved. So the first one is that membership into student organizations is difficult. This is actually a fairly large misconception. With over 325 student organizations, there are plenty of opportunities to find membership within those organizations. I will say that we have about 20% of our organizations do have some type of entry process, either an audition as it relates to our a cappella or our dance groups, or an application and interview. And so, some of these organizations you might see as fairly popular organizations, but they're not the only organizations that are available to your students. So please let them know that if they are finding difficulty finding membership into some of these organizations that have entry points, that is only 20% of our organizations that have kind of that, what we call membership barrier or membership process. So please encourage them to continue to expand and explore opportunities with the 80% of the 325 plus student organizations that are out there that don't have any type of process to join. The notion of there's nothing to do on campus, as you can tell just from the portions that the 3 of us have talked about, there are plenty of things. What it is just being able to take that very first step into being what can sometimes feel a little bit vulnerable, being in a space by yourself, entering into a meeting where you don't know folks. Those are all things that are a part of the process of finding community when you're leaving kind of your home base or community that you've been a part of for however many years they have before entering into the Emory one. And students, your student would be the only one who's feeling lonely. So sometimes it's hard when it comes to a sense of comparison to others. There are going to be students who have the most amazing roommate, and they will be best friends and part of each other's weddings and, and families for a long time, and other students who might struggle a little bit. But just know that every student feels a little sense of transition during the time of entering into the college campus, but they are not alone. There are a ton of offices and a ton of peer support for your students to find connection. And the last piece is that getting involved only means joining a student organization. What we really, really want to press upon is that you will hear your students talk about, I can't find a way to join a student organization. That's the only way I can get involved. And what we really want to make sure is that we kind of change that narrative in the sense that there are employment opportunities where you find connection and community. There are ways to join religiously affiliated or spiritual organizations, or communities without that being a student organization. There are fitness classes. There are just a variety of different ways to find a sense of community that is not just student organizations. So although that's a lot of and predominantly what my office does, we want to make sure that we highlight that there are various ways to find those entry and connection points that are just beyond just seeking out membership or even officer positions within a student organization. Although wonderful ways to find connection and community, it's not the only way.
Hey, Lisa, I want to add to what you're saying, because Lisa's office and the other offices featured are such great resources. And so families, there's a lot of times that your students will just need to talk with you about being lonely. And even though they're around a lot of people, and they know that you give them unconditional love. And we appreciate that, because no one gives them unconditional love like their families. So sometimes they just need to talk to a staff member, or talk to, like Lisa mentioned, the steer team. These are folks who are educated in everything Emory and can help steer them to what might be an interest of theirs that they might not have even thought of. So please, we have so many resources, and there might be times, again, when your student feels lonely because everything is new. They've been a senior in high school, especially the folks that are here with the class of 2026, and they've been the ones that have been in charge of everything. They knew everything. Everything is new here. Their brains are going to be expanding like you cannot imagine. So please just listen to them, let them vent when they need to, but also, sometimes you might want to send them the link for this telecast, for this webinar, because it's got so much good information on it. They will get this too. However, we're going to be giving them a lot of information early on, and it's hard for them to remember everything. We can never expect that they would. But I'll let Lisa finish off, because these offices are so valuable, and we want your students to know about them and use them. Thank you all.
And just finally, as the last slide is my contact information. So I always want to make sure that if at anything, there is always someone that you all can take away from these presentations, that if you have a question or just need additional information as it relates to involvement and finding soft landings for your students as it relates to finding community, here is my contact information. Again, I'm just one of many, 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 many touch points that are available. But as a takeaway, here is my contact information. I'm a team of 13. And so all of my team, as far as professional staff, are trained and ready and have dedicated their professional careers to helping your students be a part and with community and finding it in that journey, and as well as the student staff that we house as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa and Jordan and Natalie, for sharing all this amazing information. One question that Bridget and I get a lot is, thanks for sharing this with parents and families. Will our students hear this too? And I just want to reiterate, Bridget kind of said this as well. One of the coolest things is that the orientation schedule actually is posted through the hub. So your students are actually going to get to learn and interact and use the hub from day one. And that's how they'll get to learn about so many of these other connection points as well. Orientation leaders, resident advisors who we learned about last week, and other student staff also are just great points of reference to ask, where did you get involved? How did you get involved? When did you find your people? And as a reminder, all of your students will be enrolled in a class called ECS 101, which is basically a University 101 class. Within that class, we actually have students interviewing peers, so getting to talk to them about some of the things they're involved in, They have to do out-of-class experiences for credit. So getting to experience any of these things that Natalie, Lisa, and Jordan talked about. And so, yes, your students will hear this as well. But we wanted to make sure that you knew that you were leaving them in good hands, and that they should not be bored. There's definitely plenty of things to do. And we're excited to welcome them to campus. As a reminder, this recording and all recordings are posted on our family website. And we have one more formal webinar left. So that's next week, Friday, July 29th, where we get to go into the details of orientation and move-in. This webinar next week is actually open to both parents, families, and students. So tell your students to hop on. You'll all be getting a lot of information via email as well too, but sometimes it's nice just to hear about it from live people. So that's next week. And we will round out our Family Friday webinar series with parent and family office hours. So on August 5th, we have no agenda. Bridget and I are just here to answer any questions, lingering questions that are on your mind. And we hope to actually meet you all in person during move-in and orientation weekend as well. So happy Friday again. We hope that you enjoy this great weekend, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks so much.